Okay, this is part 2 to your 6.3 notes. I just wanted you to have a little break in between and try the delta math that went along with the other one first, and now you need to do the one with coordinate distance. So we're doing the Pythagorean theorem still. We're still finding the distance between 2 points, which I'm going to talk about how that's still the Pythagorean theorem, but this is going to be on a coordinate plane. So look at number 1. If I said what's the distance from here to here, I'm not talking about the slope. I don't want you to start counting rise over run. That's how steep the line is. I want to know the distance. If I had a ruler and I measured the distance, how long is this side? But we're not using rulers. So we are just finding it with just coordinates. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to turn a simple diagonal line into a right triangle. You can turn it into a right triangle by going here and here. See the little right angle at the bottom? Or I could have made your right angle up here and made it go this direction, but your diagonal is the hypotenuse. So your longest side is always the diagonal across from the right angle. So if you have straight lines, like I have the legs, which would be straight now, you can just count. And it's going to be so much easier to do this and to find the diagonal distance, the length, by knowing how to use the Pythagorean theorem. So we're just going to count straight sides. You can't count diagonally. I wish you could. I wish you could say, well, this diagonal length is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it doesn't work like that. So, but you can count straight up and down and straight left to right. So left to right, obviously that's easy. That is only one box. So the length of this leg is 1. The length of this leg is vertical, so we can count that also. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So our two legs are 10 and 1. And if you know that the legs are the A and the B, then we're trying to find the diagonal, which is the hypotenuse, which is the C. So our legs are 1 and 10, so we're going to have 1 squared plus 10 squared, and that is going to equal our hypotenuse length. So in your calculator, you're just going to do 1 squared plus 10 squared. That equals 101. And I believe for our purposes today, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So we are not doing simplest radical form for 101. And the reason I knew that is because there is nothing that would come out of 101. 101 square root is as simple as it goes. So we're going to put it in our calculator and get the diagonal distance rounded to the nearest, let's say 10th. It doesn't say that, but I think that's what normally we've been doing. So we're going to round to the nearest 10th place. So in your calculator, you're going to put square root of 101, and that is about 10.0. The 4 is not going to bump it up. So this would be about 10.0, which that's weird because this is 10. So you're like, wait a minute, so that's also 10? But it's not exactly 10. It's a little bit more. It's just very close to 10. It's rounded to 10.0, but it doesn't mean that's exactly 10. It's a little bit more than 10, but we'll still round it to 10.0, even though that is longer. You need to know that's longer than this one that's exactly 10. That was just a weird one. Okay, number 2, this diagonal, we're going to turn it into a right triangle. You can either go to the corner at the top or go to the corner at the bottom. It does not matter, but you need to make it, excuse me, into a right triangle. So I'm going to go down here. Here's my right angle. You can count horizontally and vertically. So let's just count. How long is this leg? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How long is this leg? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Legs, if we have the legs, you add. So it's going to be 7 squared plus 5 squared in your calculator. 7 squared plus 5 squared is 74. And we're going to take the square root of 74, and it's going to be rounded to the nearest tenths place. So the square root of 74 is about 8.6. So this diagonal distance would be about 8.6. Okay, let's do a few more, and then I think you guys probably get it. So turn your diagonal into the hypotenuse of a right triangle. Count the legs. So this leg is 1, this leg is 6. And it doesn't matter. If you would have picked this top corner to make your legs, you would have still come up with 1 and 6. Since they are the leg lengths, we are going to add them. So 1 squared plus 6 squared is 37. The square root of 37 does not come out evenly, so we are going to round to the nearest tenths place. Sorry. About 6.1. So the 8 bumps up the 0 to a 1. All right, number 4, this one's the easiest one on the page. If it is a horizontal distance or a vertical distance, you can just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, the distance of that leg or line segment is 4. Bet you knew it. In fact, that makes me want to come down here and do number 6 first. Number 6, let's see if you can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. Okay, but you can't do that when it's a diagonal. You have to draw in your straight leg lengths and see how long that is. So this leg is 1, 2, 3, 4. The other leg is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since they are the legs, you can square them and add them. 4 squared plus 5 squared is 41. We are going to take the square root of 41, which is not going to come out evenly. So the square root of 41 is about 6.4. All right. Go ahead and pause the video and try the last 2, if you would please, and then fast forward and make sure you got them both correct. Here's me doing them super fast. 2 and 1. 1 squared plus 2 squared. That is 1 plus 4, that's 5. The square root of 5, I actually don't know by heart, but it is about 2.2. Okay, and then the last one is a 1 by 1. So 1 squared plus 1 squared, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, so that is 2. The square root of 2 is, about 1.4. Okay. All right, let's look at the top of the next page because sometimes you're going to find coordinate distances that do not have graphs. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to find the distance of just the x's, and then you're going to find the distance of just the y's, and those are your straight legs. Okay, so from 7 to 4, what is the distance? You can either add them and divide by 2, or you can just think of them on a graph. If you're moving from 7 to 4, how many spaces did you take? How many steps did you take? And you don't need to worry about negatives because none of these are going to be negatives. You can't have a negative distance. So whatever it is, it's basically like taking the absolute value of it or the positive answer of it. So if I'm going from 7 to 4, that's 3 steps. 4, 5, 6, 7. So 3 steps. If I go from -3 to +3, think of it on a number line. -3, that is not a straight line. If I go from -3 all the way to +3, how many steps did I take in between? So I took to 0, it's 3, and then I took 3 more. So that's going to be 6 steps. And again, if you're like, I have no idea how she's getting these numbers, you can add them and divide by 2. Just be sure you don't include the negatives because there's no such thing as negative distance. This is -3. You do need to include it knowing that it's not going from 3 to 3 because that'd be 0. You're going from -3 to +3. Remember that it goes to 0 and then passes it. So you are going to be adding these two. So 6 squared plus 3 squared, that's 36 plus 9, or just use your calculator, 45. And you are going to square root that. The square root of 45 is about 6.7. So about 6.7. Okay, let's try 15. I know I should have probably gone to 14 next, but from -4 on the x to +6 on the x, that's going from -4 past 0 all the way to +6. -4 to +6. that is a distance of 10. 10. -4 to 6 is 10. So on the y's now, let's look at just the y coordinates. We moved from -3 past 0 all the way to +1. So we moved 4. So you have a leg length of 10 and a leg length of 4. So you are going to be adding 100 plus 16 and then take the square root of that. So square root of 116 is about 10.8. Okay, let's do a few more. I feel like you're either getting this right now or you're absolutely not. So let's do a few more and make sure you're getting it. Only look at from x to x, x to x. We're only looking at 6 to -3. How many steps did I take? I'm actually going backwards if I'm going from +6 to -3. I go to 0, that's 6, and then I go to -3, which is 3 more. So 6 and 3 is 9. So that distance is 9. From 1 to 8, you're at 1 on a number line and you go to +8. That is 7 steps. And then remember, these are the leg lengths, so you're going to be squaring each one. 9 squared is 81, or just use your calculator. I actually don't know why I'm not. 7 squared is 49. 81 plus 49, I don't know, is 130. And then remember, you're taking the square root of 130 because we're finding what it is after you've taken the square root of it. You're finding the hypotenuse, about 11.4. Okay, if you are totally good on this part, pause the video, try the last 3 and check them. If you are not good on this part, let's do a few more. So only the x coordinates are from -7 to -8. If you go from -7 to -8, you've only taken 1 step. So that's 1. From 1 to 2, same thing. You've only taken 1 step on a number line if you're going from 1 to 2. And remember, these are leg lengths. That's your vertical distance and that's your horizontal distance. So you're squaring each of them. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. And then you still have to take the square root of it because that's the diagonal length. So we need the hypotenuse, which is the c squared side. So we have to take the square root of it, which is about 1.4. All right. From -1 on a number line to -6, if you're going from -1 backwards to -6, you have taken 5 steps. From 1 backwards all the way to -7, you pass 0 and then you go 7 more. So that's a total of 8 steps. And each one of those is squared because those are your legs. And I'm just going to do this one in the calculator. 5 squared plus 8 squared is 89. And we are going to take the square root of 89, which is about 9.4. All right, last one. From 3 to 8, that is 5 steps. From 6 to -8. So you go from 6 to 0, and then you go -8 more further back. So you're adding the 2. So that's going to be 14, I think. 6 minus -8. Yeah, 14 steps. Okay, square each one. 5 squared plus 14 squared is 221. And I need to take the square root of 221 to get the final answer. And it is about 14.9 because the 6 is going to bump up the 8 to a 9. So 14.9.